Hey guys, so a quick analysis on what to expect this coming week. I'll start with the US dollar index. The dollar has been very strong for a while. Price has been rallying higher and higher. And just to check the immediate price behavior, if you look at the previous week, price traded lower to this zone. But by the time the week was closing on Friday, the buyers had pushed price all the way back up. That's an indication that sellers are weak in this market and buyers still have a lot of a lot of strength in the market. You can check on the daily time frame. Price got some sort of support at this zone, which could be an indication that price could continue rallying higher, considering that immediately price bounced off here. You can see the next three candlesticks are very strongly bullish. They are very strong bullish candlesticks. So that's an indication that buyers are still very strong in this market. So what I'm looking for this week is a possible continuation of a strong dollar. So maybe we could have some little retracement to this point. It could retrace further somewhere down here. But what I'm looking for eventually in the long run is a continuation of a strong dollar, maybe rallying even higher. Next is USDCHF. I'm going to start with the monthly time frame since we just began a new month recently. In the monthly time frame, there is not much in terms of volumes. So we move to the weekly time frame. In the weekly time frame, there's a clear indication that price dropped to this point. Let me just mark the zone. Price dropped and got support at this level. And when it found support, we see price has been rolling higher. And one of the most important things to note is that price has closed above this zone. So that's a break of market structure because at this particular point, price was forming lower highs and lower lows. Let's check on the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, we check clearly, price was dropping, forming lower highs and lower lows. Same thing, so it was a sequence. So price was unable to break the highs. And if you look at it right now, price has traded, got some rejection at this point, dropped, but it's come back and closed strongly above this structure of the weekly time frame. That's a clear indication that we could be having potential of strong bulls on USDCHF. So what I'll be looking for on USDCHF is a continuation of price pushing to the upside on the 4-hour time frame and on the 1-hour time frame. That's what I'll be looking for. So we could have some little retracement also, retracements possibly to the previous demand zone. The previous demand zone is somewhere around here where we had this last rejection candlestick. So price could trade anywhere to this zone here and possibly continue going up. So that's what I'm looking for in USDCHF. Next is EURUSD. EURUSD, I'll start with the higher time frame. You can look at the monthly. So on the monthly, you can check last month closed strongly bearish. Price has retraced, it's now dropping, but you cannot count on the current candlestick because the month has just begun. So we cannot analyze the market based on a moving candlestick. We use candlesticks that have already closed. So we can use last week's candlestick because it's already closed. So price traded all the way up here, and then got some strong rejection. Buyers rejected and price pushed all the way lower, closing as a bearish candlestick. So we have some sort of supply zone here. And if you check on the daily time frame, that's the zone that I've marked. Price traded back to the supply zone. Then we've had a series of 3 bearish candlesticks. So what I'm looking for in EURUSD is a further continuation. As you can see, it's been on a very strong bearish trend for the longest time. So price has just been dropping, retracing, and continuing the same downward series of prices dropping. So remember that the trend is your friend. So at this point, unless we can get a confirmation that EURUSD wants to reverse, we cannot make that up in our minds. So we just follow what the market is giving us consistently. So I'm looking for a further continuation, at least based on what we are seeing right now in the market. And this is the zone that I'm going to mark. I should retrace at least with this zone, because you see this red candlestick in between these bullish candlesticks is the first, it's the last point where price got rejected. So most of the time, price always retest this zone. So it's quite a complicated concept, but if you check here in the past, price trades back to this zone. It's something that happens most of the time. Also here, we have this zone here where we have this red candlestick here on this one. Price usually comes and drops as if it's selling, but it will come back and retest this red candlestick here. So it's the same concept that I'm actually applying at this point. I want price to possibly retrace this candlestick. It could fail to do it. Remember, it's just all speculation and analysis based on a consistent system. But price might not always respect whatever you want at all times. Sometimes it might retrace. So it's possible that price will retrace to this zone. Let me just mark. Price could retrace to this zone, which is what I'm looking for. There's a chance that it will retrace even further to this zone before it decides to drop. So it's just a matter of flowing with the price movement. But from my analysis, this is actually the previous supply zone. I'm expecting price to retest at most maybe this zone. Then we could have a continuation of the drop in euro dollar. We move to AUD USD, the Aussie dollar. We start with the monthly time frame to just see how the previous month closed. So the previous month closed quite bearish, with a very long bearish candlestick, which indicates that sellers are very strong in this market. So starting this month, we are anticipating a possibility of the same thing to continue. So this analysis, remember, with technical analysis, we just we tend to say that history tends to repeat itself. If you check USD in the past, every time we had these long candlesticks, I wanted to look. When we had this long candlestick, we had another one following. When we had the long one, we had a series of more bearish candlesticks, succeeding it. So it's just a thing of, predicting based on what the market is likely to do. So based on how the last month closed, there's a high chance that it will see further drop in the Aussie dollar. Let's look at the weekly time frame. We have a very good indication that price is bearish here. If you check, price traded last week all the way to this point, but by the time the weekly time frame was closing, the candlestick traded lower all the way back and closed as a very strong bearish candlestick. A very good indication that price is bearish. So what I'm looking for in AUD, I think I had marked some zone using the weekly time frame. In the weekly time frame, I'm looking for price to trade to two zones. The first zone is here where we had some rejection. You can see price got rejected here. So a rejection zone is always an important point for you to mark on your chart. Most of the time when price trades back those zones, you might have some little disturbance before it can continue dropping. But it will possibly even reverse. This is the first zone I'm expecting. Second zone I'm looking for is here where we have some sort of, breaker here. This zone here. So what I'm looking for AUD/USD is a drop, and if you measure from this point, we are looking for a drop of 100 pips all the way to 200 pips. But to be safe, you might go with the 100 pips trade, which is the closest. So AUD/USD might see a possibility of price retracing all the way to the previous supply zone here, the top of the supply zone, because the previous supply zone starts from this point where we had our breakout candlestick, which is there. So what happens is that if price is really bearish, we are not expecting price to come and close above this point. It's possible that that could happen, but most of the time, considering that price has already broken out of this, these games that have been happening here, we're expecting it to retrace maybe maximum to this point, not above there. It will retrace above the point, but as long as the candlestick doesn't close above the point, if It traces the shadow the way it did at this point. It retraces and then leaves a shadow. That's still okay. Then we are looking for further continuation of a bearish Aussie dollar. Next, move to Euro AUD. Euro Australian dollar, which is usually one of my most favorite pairs to trade because it's very good in respecting what it's good in respecting price action. So Euro AUD, looking at the monthly time frame, it's been dropping generally, but you can see the immediate price behavior that last month price closed strongly bullish, and this price has been rejected at this point here, which is actually a demand zone. So with the demand zone, you draw it from the wick where the shadow begins to the breakout candlestick, which is this long candlestick, then you extend it. So when price gets to that point, most of the time you're going to have some sort of rejection. It could just be some small rejection, then price continues dropping, or it could be a total reversal. You see price trading all the way high. So on the monthly time frame, it's sort of a long-term short. So to be safe, you want to look at the immediate price behavior. You want to look at the weekly to see how last week behaved. So last week price traded all the way lower to this point, ended up closing above some sort of bullish strength in this market. Also looking at the daily time frame, you can see that price got rejected here, traded above this point, and the key thing here is that price has closed above the previous high. So when price trades above the previous high and we get a candlestick close, we say that there is a break of market structure. So when there's break of market structure, higher chances are that price will continue going to that direction. So it's not the safest pair to trade for now, but if I was to call any short on Euro AUD, based on what I'm seeing right now, it could possibly be a bullish trade, but I don't think I'll focus much on it for this week. Next, which is probably my final pair, we look at Euro and ZD, starting with the monthly time frame. Looking at Euro and ZD in the monthly time frame, you can see that price closed strongly bullish last month. Then we've had a retracement. This is a very perfect pattern. This is one of those patterns that is very, very perfect. Price has retraced to this zone. When it retraces here, because this is some sort of W reversal pattern. So when price retraces here, you're expecting it to get rejected and bounce off. But we can't use the monthly time frame again because the month has just begun. We don't know how the monthly time frame will close. We go the weekly time frame. The immediate price reaction from the weekly time frame is that price has traded to this candlestick, then went and closed above a strongly bullish. So the signs are that Euro NZ is quite bullish, just based on how price is behaving at the moment. Looking at the daily time frame, we're sort of seeing the same thing. Price has been going higher and higher. Then you see price traded here, got rejected, bullish candlestick. So on the lower time frame, which is the 4 hour and the 1 hour, there's quite a possibility to see Euro and ZD probably rallying higher, as long as it doesn't come and trade below this zone. So just mark this previous demand zone, which is here. So chances are that price will even retrace. If you want to know that price is still bullish, if this price retraces, it will possibly not break strongly below this zone. Maybe it will find some rejection here, then it will continue pushing higher. But there's a chance that price will also just continue buying from this point. It all depends on how the markets will behave. That's what I'm looking for this coming week. About the pound pairs, I've been looking at the pound pairs, but I'm not so much trying to get a trade on the pound pairs because of the crazy movements that we've been seeing. We've been seeing GBP, JPY, forming, which is a 1 hour candlestick, 550 pips. That's some very crazy, movements in the market. So I won't be looking so much at the pound. I'm only looking for pairs that I can use very minimal risk and get a bigger reward. So that's it for this week's analysis. We'll be dropping the signals in the free VIP premium as long as you have your account registered under FXPesa. Link is in the description.